Hello. Ooh. Ooh, I like the sound of that. Alright, we're gonna go with that. Hello, you ghouls, monsters, creatures, witches, humans, whatever you are. Happy Spooktober. We are officially 1 week away from Halloween. So I'm excited for that. Even though this year there will be no Halloweening. It's okay though, we'll dress up. We'll buy some candy and we'll eat it all ourselves, right? Who even likes to give away candy, right? I do give them to kids, just not all of it. So, don't mind my crazy brows. Before we get into it, we're gonna start off this Halloween series with my favorite movie, Scream. That is my favorite horror movie of all time, Scream, the Scream series, because a few months ago I found out that Scream 5 is coming out. I can't wait. Pastels were really in this summer, so I think I'm gonna do something with a pastels, skeleton face. I don't know. It'll come together eventually. Hopefully. I wanted to do this originally on IGTV, but IGTV is not long enough, so I decided to move it to YouTube. It's been a long time coming anyway, but I'm kind of nervous to be on YouTube. Even if nobody sees it, I'll watch it. I'll watch all my hard work. It's okay. We're gonna be doing these videos while I'm doing some Halloween makeup, and everything that I use will be listed down below. I just don't want to talk and interrupt myself just to say what kind of products I'm using, so it will all be in the description box. Start off Halloween. We're going to be discussing the film Scream. We're also going to be talking about the Gainesville Murders, which inspired the film Scream. Before I get into the Gainesville Murders, it is kind of sensitive, so if I am going to be mentioning some things, so if you don't feel comfortable, feel free to skip to this time frame right here while I get into the Scream movies. So the Gainesville Murders, which inspired Scream, happened in Gainesville, Florida in August 1990. Daniel Rowling murdered 5 students in Gainesville, Florida. This killing spree became known as the Gainesville Murders. All 5 students went to university, and the way he did it was he broke into their apartments. Most of them were roommates, so he basically killed 2 birds with 1 stone. And he snuck into their apartments, mutilated their bodies, and raped them. And he even left them in a weird position. He left them in like sexual positions. So his first victims were Sonja Larson and Christina Powell, both 17 university students roommating together. 17 meaning they were freshmen. And this happened on Friday, August 24th, where he broke into their apartment at night, meaning they were both sleeping, but they weren't sleeping together. Christina was sleeping downstairs and Sonja was sleeping upstairs. So what he did was he decided to go upstairs first, where he found Larson, and he, obviously when you're sleeping you're vulnerable and it's just really easy to attack someone in their sleep. So what he did was he taped her mouth and then stabbed her to death. She obviously died trying to fight him off, but he succeeded in killing her. So after he was done with Larson, he went downstairs where Powell was still sleeping, and he taped her mouth, bounded her wrists, and before he killed her, he cut up her clothes and raped her. And then while she was face down, he stabbed her in the back. And before he left their apartment, he left their bodies in these weird sexual positions. Typically when someone leaves a body posing, it's premeditated, you know, and he planned these murders and he wanted their bodies to be found. So his motive was definitely evil. He wanted to be somebody. He wanted to be kind of like Ted Bundy almost. The next day, he snuck into another apartment who resided Christina Hoyt. She was 18. She was not home. So what he did was he waited for her to come home. And when she came home, from the back, grabbed her and put her in a chokehold, which got her body to go limp, and he was able to tape her mouth shut and wrap her wrists. Also cut up her clothes and raped her. But this murder was just a bit more gruesome. I don't know if he got comfortable or whatever, but after he raped her, he mutilated her and then he decapitated her head. And he placed her head on a shelf. I don't know what the purpose of this was. I don't know if he wanted to add some kind of shock factor to this situation. After Christina, the murder started to gain more traction and people were starting to get scared, especially the university students. A lot of them were dropping out or they were transferring schools. Paranoia basically filled up these schools because all of this, I don't know if I mentioned, but most of the victims were from the University of Florida, but that did not stop him. He kept going. His next victims actually included a man and a woman, but I think the man just happened to be there, to be honest. So his next victims were Tracy Pauls and Manny Tabawada. They were both 23 and they were living together. He snuck into their apartment the same way he snuck into Hoyt's. He basically broke in with a screwdriver and a knife. Gosh, homes were so unsafe back then. I know in my house we have bolts, okay? We have those doors locked, plus security cameras. You never know. He first went for Manny, who was sleeping, and apparently, and based on what I was reading, he really struggled with him because he's a man, so you know their force is kind of matched up. But he eventually was able to kill him. But because it was such a struggle, there was so much commotion that Pauls woke up and ran into Manny's bedroom and she saw Rolling, and she could have had an advantage there and she could have ran out, but you know, when we're in panic mode we don't necessarily do the smartest thing, so she locked herself in her room and eventually Rolling broke into her room and he was able to get a hold of her, tape her mouth shut, he cut off her clothes, and he proceeded to rape her. And after he was done, he stabbed her in the back, and just like his other victims, he left her in a posed position, but he didn't do that with Manny. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna take this off and I'm gonna do this again. You're probably wondering what the heck happened. Well, it just wasn't going the way I had pictured it, so I was just going to start the video over, but we're kind of too deep in, and anyways, we still have a lot of things to cover, so it's fine. It's makeup, you could just wipe it off and start over, so that's what I'm doing. I hope you guys don't mind. So he raped Tracy, mutilated her body, and left her in a sexual position, but he left Manny's body the same. And it took them a while, not that long, but it did take them a bit to find Rolling, like to declare him as the murderer. They had 2 other suspects, but when they found Rolling, they eventually dropped their charges, and Rolling basically got arrested. And you know, when you get arrested, they take your prints and you know, all your samples. So they were able to connect Rolling's DNA to all the murder scenes in Gainesville, because he wasn't arrested in Gainesville. He was arrested in another city in Florida. I don't remember what city it was. They found him living in the woods, basically, near students. So if he was going to continue killing students, all of the following victims would have been really easy to kind of allure. And eventually in November, he was officially charged with several counts of murder. So get this, he mentioned that what he wanted was fame. He wanted to become the next Ted Bundy. Can you imagine? But anyway, before trial could happen, he eventually pled guilty and he was sentenced to the death penalty. And in the end, he really did get what he wanted. He got a lot of publicity, he got books, he got TV shows, he got movies. So there's that. So while all of this was occurring, Kevin Williamson, the screenwriter for Scream, saw this and was super inspired and therefore created a serial killer slasher named Ghostface. So here we are jumping into Scream. So Scream was originally supposed to be like some kind of satire. That's why Ghostface wasn't really scary. His mask was just something that you could pick up at the Halloween store, and that is more terrifying to think of, that someone could just go to the Halloween store and be like, oh, that mask is kind of cool. Anyone could wear that mask. Let me wear that mask and go kill a bunch of people. So the story basically follows Sidney Prescott, who's this high school student in Woodboro, and she's the main target of this killer, but he kills basically everyone that she knows. So if you know Sidney Prescott, you gotta stay away from her, right? So the killers are Billy Stu. The killers are Billy Loomis and Stu Matcher.
Surprise, Sidney.
And Billy has a motive for killing Sidney, right? Because his dad cheated on his mom with Sidney Prescott's mom, Maureen. And we know that Maureen is dead, right? Someone killed her. And we come to find out towards the end of the movie that Billy actually killed her mom. So Billy and Stu switch off the murders, right? Billy kills some, Stu kills some, but there's actually this point in the movie that a lot of people have pointed out. Stu and Billy appear at the video store and we get this clip of Ghostface. So who was Ghostface in that scene, right? But in the third movie, which the killer ends up being Sidney Prescott's brother, who she had no idea even existed, he confessed that he convinced Billy to do all these murders, right? Because he put it in his head what Maureen Prescott did to him. So obviously the one in that costume is Roman. Who else could it be? Eventually Sidney is able to kill them both.
Here.
Yeah, here we go, following the second movie, Scream 2. The opening is, the first two to get killed are these couple that are named Maureen and Steve, which basically the killer is doing a copycat of the first killings. Eventually, towards the end, we find out that it is Miss Loomis avenging her son's death, and the film student. I always forget his name. Mickey. It was honestly hard to keep up with who killed who in Scream 2, only because I just really couldn't tell who was who. Like the college scene with when they killed, I think it was Cece, when they killed her, oh my gosh, that was so confusing. I have no idea who did that. Actually, I found this really cool website, screenfandom.com, which actually tells you who killed who. Cece's on the phone, right? But when you see Ghostface sneak into the door where she's talking to her roommate, yeah, he doesn't have a phone. Like if you see when he's sneaking in, he doesn't have a phone, he's still talking to her. So based on this fandom, Cece's phone call was Mickey, and the person in the costume was actually Mrs. Loomis. I don't know. The whole scene was just interesting.
Hello, editing self here. Let me correct my words. The Cece and Ghostface scene was one of the most iconic chase scenes in the entire series. Everything was impeccable. Wes Craven is a genius with the music, with the camera work, like everything was put together so well. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't understand how it could have been Mrs. Loomis, considering that Cece threw a bunch of things at her, like heavy things at her, and Mrs. Loomis ran really fast up those stairs, and I don't know how she could have done that. You know, I feel like Mickey would be more capable of going up the stairs that fast, and she threw her off the balcony like she was nothing. Like she weighed nothing. And I can barely carry a 5-pound weight, so but it wouldn't make sense for it to be Mickey because Mickey was at the party. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But maybe it was just like an editing error, but who knows?
In Scream 2, can we talk about Randy's murder? No. No, no, no.
What the fuck? Jesus.
Honestly, Randy was my favorite character in the Scream series, and to kill him off like that didn't do him any justice. Like, you killed him in the car, like, what? No, he deserved better. If you guys were gonna kill Randy off, who was this horror expert, might as well make it iconic. Like, I don't know, like a huge fight scene and like him eventually losing. But I really hope that he's not dead, because we've seen all of their bodies and we did not see Randy. Oh yeah, we did see Randy's. Wait, did we? Yes, I think we did. Whatever. But I just want him to come back because, yeah, that was just so upsetting to me. Randy just deserved better. And I really do hope they bring him back on Scream 5. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I just hope that they do. Okay, anyway, so at the end we find out that who the murderers are. So, Scream 3. Sydney is currently in hiding. She's isolated, living it up in the mountains somewhere. Nobody knows where she is except for Dewey. Dewey is the only one who knows, for Sydney's own protection, right? But she's drawn to Hollywood because the killer is back and he's starting to kill the cast of Stab 3, which he eventually kills everyone in Stab 3, right? And he leaves clues on who the killer could possibly be by leaving around photos of Maureen, except it's not Maureen, it's Rena Reynolds. Who is Maureen? But Rena Reynolds is her Hollywood name, because Maureen, for 2 years of her life, she was this actress and nobody knew, okay? Nobody knew except her and John Milton, who helped her start her career in acting. We all know that he's an asshole and deserved the ending that he got. But anyway, so I think Gail figures this out. So now everybody's just like so confused, don't know what's going on, why they keep showing this side of Maureen, right? Especially because nobody knew. So in the end, we find out who the killer is. It turns out to be Roman, who is directing Stab 3, and he confesses to Sid that he's her brother.
Roman Bridger, director. And brother.
Rena Reynolds' son. Plot twist. So he tells Sid that Maureen in Hollywood was gang raped by a group of men, including John Milton, because John Milton promised to give her a career in acting only if she had sexual relations with him. Which is interesting, considering that the Weinstein Company is one of the production companies of the Scream franchise. And we all know the tea of Harvey Weinstein. So after this happens to Maureen, her acting career ends and she eventually goes off to marry Sydney's father, right? So when he gets the door slammed in his face, he is very upset and he decides to make it his mission to stalk Maureen's life and record it. So he catches her in all these affairs. The one with Cotton Weary, the one with Billy's dad, which he used that to get to Billy, right? He used that to his advantage, and eventually with that he convinced Billy that Maureen is the reason why his mother left him, and therefore convinces Billy to kill Maureen. But in the end, Sydney eventually is able to kill Roman with the help of Gail and Dewey. And that's the end of Scream 3. So we're moving on to Scream 4. It's the 15th anniversary of the Woodsboro killings, and Sydney has reinvented herself. And she writes a book which becomes really popular, and she's on a book tour. And she happens to be touring in Woodsboro on the 15th anniversary. And at the end, we find out that the killers are Jill Roberts and Charlie.
Hello, Sydney. Surprised?
A film student. I don't know what's with Scream and film students, but the film students are somehow killers. We had Roman, Mickey, and now Charlie. So they kill, in this order, Jenny, Marnie, Olivia, Rebecca, Gail gets stabbed, Ross and Anthony, the deputy and the detective, get killed, Kate, who's Jill's mom, Robbie, Kirby, and Trevor. The motives were different for both, obviously. Charlie thought that him and Jill were in love and they were going to be this reincarnation of Randy and Sydney, because him and Jill were going to be the sole survivors of this attack. And obviously that does not happen because Jill's motive is for the fame. She just wants to be famous. So she doesn't need Charlie. She wants to be the sole survivor, the superstar. So she just boop and boop stabs him twice and kills him. And Jill thinks she succeeds because she does end up stabbing Sydney, and Sydney goes unconscious and falls to the floor. And like I said, she thinks she killed her. By the way, Jill doing all of that, the stabbing herself, flinging herself on the glass and flinging herself on the glass table. Girl. That is what I call dedication. Somehow, Sid still makes it, right? She's in the hospital in recovery, and Dewey tells Jill that she survived, and Jill, of course, is like, "Okay. Huh?" She's pretty pissed. She makes a mistake by telling Dewey about Gail's stab wound, which nobody really knew about besides Gail and Dewey. Of course, Gail always figures it out, right? And Dewey's like, eh. So he leaves Gail's room to help Sid because Jill is on her way to kill her. And of course, somehow Sydney is able to kill her with the help of Gail, Dewey, and this time Hicks.
Clear. Clear. Clear.
So that's the end of Scream 4. But can I just say, it was not my favorite. It was not my favorite because it was just weird. Like, Scream 1, 2, and 3 made sense, right? They were all following the story. Throughout the whole series, Sydney doesn't have any family, you know? Just her dad. And all of a sudden, Maureen's sister shows up with her daughter Jill, who ends up being Sydney's cousin. So now she has an auntie and a cousin. I don't know, it just didn't make any sense, and Jill's obsession with Sydney didn't make any sense. But I guess the fame thing makes sense, right? She wanted to be famous. So it's pretty unexpected. But I don't know, I feel like Jill could have just written a book about being a family member of Sydney, and she could have basically talked shit in her book about Sydney and been famous with that. Let's talk about theories that people have. People have a few theories. Whoever is in the Ghostface costume somehow has these magical abilities, right? They can get hit, they can get thrown, they can get stabbed, they can get shot, they can get thrown down a bunch of stairs, and somehow they're unscathed. That's why I'm confused about Scream 2 and Mrs. Loomis doing most of the killings, because it just doesn't make any sense. Like, she's flinging people, she's carrying people, like, how? Maybe there's some, like, supernatural thing about the costume, which on Reddit that has been a theory, which would make a lot of sense. For Scream 5, I think Randy will come back, because he has to come back. He has to come back in some way. I don't know how he's gonna come back, but he's gonna come back. Like, he faked his own death. He was super involved in everything because he is the actual mastermind behind everything. And I actually saw this theory on Reddit and I got so excited because I was like, whoa, this makes so much sense for Randy to do something like this. That would be an awesome plot twist. So whoever came up with that theory, just know that I love you as well, because that is so genius. Especially because it's such a Randy thing to do, right? Like, it was too easy his death was too easy. My next theory for Scream 5 is Kirby is also going to come back. I don't think Kirby is dead, and neither does the fandom. So, Kirby, we didn't really see her die either. If you think about it, we saw her get stabbed, we saw her roll over, and that's about it. Next theory that I read on Reddit is that Dewey is actually an evil genius. I don't know why someone would come up with that, but it kind of makes sense. The evidence that they showed was that Dewey never really gets hurt. If you think about it, he somehow beats death every single time. He either gets hit or he gets stabbed in somewhere like easy that's not gonna make him bleed out. I don't know. He just always defeats death. But I'm kind of against this theory because I don't know. I don't really see him being the killer. But honestly, if anybody would be the killer in the fifth one, it'd be Sid. I don't know why, but I feel like Sid has to be like the end game killer, right? It only makes for the biggest plot twist ever. Scream 5, right? People don't know what to expect of Scream 5. I don't know what to expect of Scream 5 because the director unfortunately passed away in 2015 from brain cancer, right? Wes Craven. So he's not directing any of the movies. So how is his vision gonna exactly come to life? I don't know. And also, the screenwriter, the starter of it all, is not going to be screenwriting it. How? Kevin Williamson said no to Scream 5. How is that? How are they gonna? I don't understand. I don't understand. But they do have good people to replace them with. Like, I don't want to say replace because they can't be replaced. But so who hopped on? James Vanderbilt who wrote Zodiac, and Guy Busick, who co-wrote Ready or Not, is screenwriting Scream 5. And the directors are Matthew Bettinelli, Olpin, and Tyler Gillette. I hope I didn't butcher their names, but they directed Ready or Not, which is honestly a really good horror movie. I really liked it. But who knows what's gonna happen in Scream 5, because it's just a whole different vibe, you know? Directors have different visions. So I don't necessarily know what's going to happen in Scream 5. But I think it's gonna be good. I really do think it's gonna be good. The cast, all the cast members already came out, so let me just read them through and give you my theories on the cast members. We have Neve Campbell, Cindy Prescott, she's coming back. Dewey, who is played by David Arquette, is also coming back. Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, is also coming back. Obviously, the three main characters throughout all the series are coming back. So many things could happen here. And the new cast members are Jenna Ortega, Jack Quaid, Dylan Minnette, Melissa Barrera, Mason Gooding. Ooh, Deputy Hicks is coming back, who's played by Marley Shelton. Okay, cool. Kyle Gallner, Roger L. Jackson. Oh, Roger actually does the voice of Scream. It's not by an actual recorder. I never knew that. I literally thought they had a cool recorder that changes your voice to people you know. Why did I think that was actually true? But I really thought that they had a cool invention like that. And so he's coming back. Sonia Ben Amar and Jasmine Savoy Brown. I have no clue what these people could be playing, obviously, because we don't know if Scream 5 is going to be a continuation of the franchise or just a reboot, but it seems like it's going to be a continuation because the three main characters are back, so I don't know. But here is my theory with this cast. So Jenna Ortega, she kind of looks like Neve Campbell, like just a little bit. She kind of looks like her. So I'm guessing that that's her daughter. Yes? No? Come on, they look a little bit alike. Okay, so we have Jack Quaid, and I feel like Gail and Dewey also have a kid. They need a kid. So I think that's either going to be Jack Quaid or Dylan Minnette. One of them two is going to play their sons. I feel like Scream might actually go for the kids, right? Where it really hurts for children. But I don't know. I don't know. How about this? You guys leave your theories down below, and we'll see what everybody thinks. Hey you guys, I look really different since the last time you saw me. Okay, so funny story. My disc completely filled up on my camera and it stopped recording, and I had no idea. So I have no idea up to what part you guys saw in the makeup. I'm gonna probably see it right now on my laptop, but anyways, it's fine. This is the completed look. I ended up filling in the rest of the space with this ColourPop gel glitter thing called You're a Firework, and I literally bought it because it's so pretty. I never thought that I was actually going to use it, but hey, it worked out for this. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of this wig. I actually got it last year, and it's kind of like in a pastel green, so it was perfect for this look. I really think this look came together. The final product is actually pretty dope. It really looks modern. It reminds me of Euphoria with the pastel trends that happened this summer, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Minus the Euphoria, just I guess the glitter kind of gives it that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyways, guys, it's already 5 a.m. I'm so tired. I am so delusional right now. I have to wash this off. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to leave any comments down below about anything, feel free to do so. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification bell. And you know what you think about this look. It's really different. I really like it. So yeah. See you on the next one. Bye. Which oh. Every time I hear a noise, I get so distracted. My brain just switches off. Hello. What's your favorite scary movie? Who is this?